Hello friends, welcome back. I am Dr. Sonu Yadav. Today's topic of discussion is necrosis. Necrosis, it is a form of cell death, and the important point is necrosis is always pathological. So, coming on to the introduction part, necrosis, it is a pathological process that is a consequence of severe injury. And if there is severe injury, then there is denaturation of the cellular proteins and increased permeability of the lysosomal membrane. This will result in leakage of various enzymes, and this will lead to defect in the cell membrane or damage the cell membrane. Then there is release of the cellular contents, and this will lead to inflammation. So necrosis, it is characterized by denaturation of cellular proteins, leakage of cellular contents through damaged membranes, local inflammation, and enzymatic digestion of the lethally injured cell. The cell which is severely injured, they releases a substance, that is damage associated molecular patterns, and these substances are recognized by macrophages and various other cells because they have receptor for damage associated molecular patterns and result in phagocytosis, that is removal of the cellular debris. These molecules are recognized by receptors present in macrophages and most of the other cell types and trigger phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is cell eating, as well as production of cytokines that induce inflammation. So necrosis, in this, the cell, severe injured cell is digested by a process known as cell eating, that is phagocytosis, and it is also associated with inflammation. Now coming on to the morphological changes. In necrosis, there are two morphological changes, that is cytoplasmic changes and nucleus changes. Coming on to the cytoplasmic changes, there is increased eosinophilia. It means the cytoplasm become more eosinophilic because there is loss of cytoplasmic RNA and there is accumulation of denatured cytoplasmic protein. This will lead to more eosinophilic cytoplasm, and there is glassy homogeneous appearance as compared to normal because there is loss of glycogen particles. Plus the cytoplasm has moth-eaten appearance because the enzymes which are released, they have digested the cell organelles, and there is deposition of calcium rich precipitate. So these are the cytoplasmic changes, that is there is increased eosinophilia because of cytoplasmic RNA and accumulation of denatured cytoplasmic proteins. Glassy homogeneous appearance of the cytoplasm as compared to normal because there is loss of glycogen particles. Moth-eaten appearance of the cytoplasm because the enzymes, they have digested the various cell organelles. And lastly, there is deposition of calcium rich precipitates. Now coming on to the nuclear changes. There are three patterns, that is pycnosis, karyolysis and karyorrhexis. This is the normal nucleus. This is the cell having normal nucleus which is placed centrally. Now these are the three features, morphological changes that is observed during necrosis. The first one is pycnosis. It means the cell nucleus is shrunken and it become more basophilic. Karyorrhexis, it means the nucleus is divided into small fragments. It breaks down into small fragments. Karyolysis, the nucleus, its basophilic staining fades away and there is ghost nuclei. So these are the three nuclear patterns observed during necrosis: pycnosis, karyolysis and karyorrhexis. Pycnosis, shrinkage of nucleus which appears shrunken and deeply basophilic. Karyolysis, progressive fading of basophilic staining of nuclei leads to a ghost nuclei. Karyorrhexis, nucleus breaks up into many smaller fragments. Now coming on to the patterns or types of the necrosis. These are the two important patterns of necrosis, that is coagulative necrosis and liquefactive necrosis. Others include fibrinoid necrosis, caseous necrosis, gangrenous necrosis and fat necrosis. So coming on to the coagulative necrosis. It is the common type of necrosis among all the necrosis. It is the most common type. Now coagulative necrosis, as the name suggests, the main mechanism is there is coagulation of proteins or denaturation of proteins. This is the main mechanism behind coagulative necrosis. Always remember, there is only denaturation of protein. The tissue architecture is preserved. There is only denaturation of proteins. And the localized area of coagulative necrosis is referred as infarct. Infarct is a localized area of coagulative necrosis, and the cause of coagulative necrosis is ischemia and hypoxia. This leads to infarct, that is localized area of coagulative necrosis, and they are seen in infarct of solid organs, most commonly heart, except brain. So all solid organs are affected, that is there is infarct of solid organs is example of coagulative necrosis, except brain. Most frequent in heart, kidney. Now grossly, appearance, involved region appears dry, pale, yellow and firm. It is wedge-shaped in organs like kidney and spleen. Microscopically, there is indistinct outline of dead tissue. It means the tissue architecture is intact, the outline is preserved, and nucleus may be either absent or show karyolysis, that is breaks down into many small fragments. Now coming on to the histological picture of coagulative necrosis. This is a histological picture of kidney specimen. As you can see, the architecture is preserved. These are the tubules. But there is no nucleus. There is eosinophilic material. Now coming on to the next type of necrosis, liquefactive necrosis. As suggested by the name, this is characterized by liquefaction of the tissue. There is liquefaction of the tissue. It means there is hydrolytic damage of tissue because of enzymes, because of various enzyme. This leads to destruction of the tissue architecture. So outline is not preserved. This is the important point in liquefactive necrosis. There is liquefaction of the tissue, that is hydrolytic damage of tissue because of various enzymes. So it leads to destruction of the tissue architecture and outline is not preserved. It is not intact. Dead cells are transformed into liquid viscous mass due to enzymes released from leukocytes which are accumulated at the site of necrosis as well as dead tissue. And the cause is ischemic injury to central nervous system. This is an infarct of the brain. As in brain there is no coagulative necrosis, always remember in brain there is liquefactive necrosis. The second example is suppurative infections. Infections by bacteria. They lead to the hydrolytic action. Mechanism: liquefaction is due to digestive action of the hydrolytic enzymes released from dead cells and leukocytes, which are accumulated at the site of necrosis. Now gross picture, it mainly affects brain. Necrotic area is soft and center which shows liquefaction. Sometimes there is abscess formation. It is also seen in wet gangrene and pancreatic necrosis. Wet gangrene, it is a variant of liquefactive necrosis. Now coming on to the microscopy. Pus consists of liquefied necrotic cell debris, dead leukocytes and macrophages. Now this is the gross picture of liquefactive necrosis brain. This is the involved region. As you can see, there is abscess formation. And this is the histological picture. There is no outline. The outline is not preserved, and in the center there is accumulation of cellular debris, macrophages and leukocytes. Now comparison of coagulative necrosis versus liquefactive necrosis. These are the two important patterns of necrosis. Coagulative necrosis, there in this mechanism is coagulation of proteins or denaturation of proteins. Outline is preserved. Mostly involve infarct of solid organ except brain, mainly heart and kidney. And this is the histological picture of kidney. Whereas liquefactive necrosis, as the name suggests, there is liquefaction of the tissue. Liquefaction, which is because of hydrolytic action of enzymes, and this leads to destruction of the tissue architecture. This is the main point. In coagulative necrosis, the outline is preserved, as you can also see in this picture. These are the tubules and the outline is preserved. In this, the outline is not preserved. Only there is accumulation of necrotic debris surrounded by these blue cells are leukocytes and macrophages. In this, the outline is preserved. And the example is brain. Now, fibrinoid necrosis. It is characterized by deposition of fibrin and immune complex in vessel wall. It obscured the underlying cellular detail, cause usually seen in immune mediated processes. The examples are polyarthritis nodosa, malignant hypertension, Escoff bodies in rheumatic heart disease, placenta in preeclampsia, hyperacute transplant rejection. In fibrinoid necrosis, there is deposition of fibrin and immune complex. This is the picture, histological picture showing fibrinoid necrosis. As you can see, homogeneous, amorphous, pink material. Now coming on to the caseous necrosis. It is combination of coagulative and liquefactive necrosis. Grossly, there is cheese-like appearance. That's why it is known as caseous necrosis. Cheese-like. And is most commonly, the cause is tuberculosis. This caseous necrosis is a characteristic of tuberculosis. Because why cheese-like? Because there is mycolic acid in the cell wall of the mycobacterium. It mainly affect lung and lymph node. It may involve any organ, but appearance necrotic area grossly it appear as yellowish white, soft, granular and cheese-like. Microscopically amorphous, eosinophilic and granular material. This is the microscopic picture, that is amorphous, eosinophilic, granular material. Sometimes it is surrounded by epithelioid cells, Langerhans type giant cells, lymphocytes and fibroblasts. At this stage it is known as caseating granuloma. Now this is the gross picture showing caseous necrosis. There is deposition of cheese-like material. Histologically, there is deposition of amorphous. Amorphous means no morphology. Amorphous, eosinophilic, granular material. Now coming on to the next type of necrosis, that is gangrenous necrosis. It is massive necrosis with superadded putrefaction. It is of two types, dry and wet. Dry gangrene, it is a variant of coagulative necrosis. It resembles coagulative necrosis, whereas wet gangrene, it is a variant of liquefactive necrosis. So coming on to the dry gangrene, predominantly consist of coagulative type of necrosis, cause arterial occlusion. In wet gangrene, the cause is venous occlusion, and most commonly involved site is lower limb. Grossly affected part is dry, shrunken, dark brown or black, and this color is due to iron sulfide. A line of demarcation is seen between gangrenous and adjacent normal area. Microscopically, there is smudging of soft tissue and overlying skin. There is smudging, and the line of demarcation consists of granulation tissue with inflammatory cells. Wet gangrene, it is a variant of liquefactive type of necrosis and it is due to venous blockage. Occurs in moist tissues or organs. Example, bowel. Grossly, the affected part is soft, swollen, putrid and dark. No clear line of demarcation. Microscopically, it resembles liquefactive type of necrosis. Now the next type of necrosis is fat necrosis. It is of two types, enzymatic and traumatic. And in this, it refers to focal areas of fat destruction. Now coming on to the enzymatic fat necrosis, it occurs in adipose tissue around acutely inflamed pancreas. For example, acute pancreatitis. In acute pancreatitis, there is release of enzyme lipases. As the name suggests, it leads to destruction of lipids and release of free fatty acids. These free fatty acids combine to calcium, and this process is known as saponification. And these free fatty acids, when combined with calcium, grossly you can see chalky white material. This is the gross picture showing deposition of chalky white material, as you can see. So this is the mechanism. In pancreatitis, the enzymes leak from acinar cells and causes tissue damage. Lipase destroy fat cells and liberate free fatty acids. These free fatty acids combines with calcium and form calcium soaps. That is fat saponification. And they appear as chalky white areas grossly. Microscopically, the necrotic fat cell appear pale with shadowy outlines surrounded by an inflammatory reaction, and there is no nucleus. Now coming on to the traumatic fat necrosis. It occurs in tissue with high fat content. Following severe trauma, the most common is breast. Now this is the histological picture of fat necrosis. These are the fat cells which undergo necrosis as there is no nucleus and there is amorphous basophilic deposition. Normally, the fat cells are characterized by eccentrically placed nucleus, but in these there is no nucleus. So these are all the types of or patterns of necrosis. So in today's lecture, we have covered necrosis. It is a form of cell death which is always pathological. And in this, there is release of enzymes which lead to destruction of the cell membrane which leads to leakage of cellular contents and there is inflammation. And the injured cell is digested by phagocytosis. Then we have covered the morphological changes, cytoplasm and in nucleus. In cytoplasm, it becomes more eosinophilic. It becomes glassy, homogeneous, moth in appearance. Calcium deposits. Nucleus, it will have three patterns: pycnosis, karyorrhexis, karyolysis. Then we have studied the various patterns. The most common are liquefactive and coagulative. As the name suggests, in liquefactive there is liquefaction of the tissue, so the tissue architecture is lost. This is most important point. And in coagulative necrosis, as the name suggests, there is coagulation of the proteins or denaturation of the proteins. The tissue architecture is intact, the outline is preserved. Other type of necrosis are fat necrosis, caseous necrosis, fibrinoid necrosis and gangrenous necrosis. So this is all about necrosis.